Welcome to This Is Nintendo Hates You, or at least they hate most of their fan base according to the internet. And look, there are some real issues I have with Nintendo, sometimes as a company, right? But the last few days, they have stepped in it big time.
So they have a long documented history of having questionable choices when it comes to the public and their the public's perception of them with the decisions they make.
Yeah.
And the newest one is, for those who are unfamiliar, they recently took down the Etikon Joy-Con Boys tribute Joy-Cons that were being sold. These were rehoused Joy-Cons. They were like reshelled with the Joy-Con Boys logo on there. And Nintendo came back and said, no, you can't be doing that.
Hey guys, update for you. After we recorded this video, a new crowdfunding campaign was started with an updated version of the Etikons without the Joy-Con Boys logo on it, and pretty much immediately they reached their fundraising goal.
So the proceeds from the Etikons were designated to support the JED Foundation, which supports mental wellness, mental health. And look, this is just a bad look for Nintendo. Now, from a legal perspective, the word Joy-Con, I'm sure, is trademarked like crazy. And from a purely legal perspective, you as a company are really encouraged to defend your trademarks, right? I mean, in a very extreme case, you think of something like Google. If you use Google as a verb, right? Like I Googled something instead of using the word I searched for something, that waters down Google's trademark. Yep. And if enough people do that, Google loses their trademark. Same thing goes for something like a Q-tip, right? That's a brand. There's a lot of brands that you have to be very specific with.
To be fair, Nintendo already ran into this. Yeah. So when the NES was popular, all other like video game consoles was not a term that existed when the NES first came out. Everyone was just calling Segas and the Philips and the Ataris. They were just calling them all Nintendos.
Which is a huge problem because they lose their trademark if it becomes watered down to that point, right?
Yes.
So legally, yes, they are absolutely allowed and in many ways encouraged to take down the Etikons. But are you trying to tell me that people buying a tribute Joy-Con, which to be fair, these are not like crazy, like I mean, these are just custom rehoused Joy-Cons, right? But they had the issue with the logo of the Joy-Con Boys logo. Are you trying to tell me that by not taking that down, Nintendo is going to lose or have some huge harm? Like, I don't buy that at all.
I don't either, especially when you look at, I mean, how many things have we looked on Wish or Amazon of just the most BS, cheap, technically licensed versions of Joy-Cons?
Yeah.
It's just, again, it's a bad look as a PR standpoint from Nintendo. There's about a dozen other things I can think of which would have been a better way to handle this.
Yeah.
They like to come in very forcefully and just be like, cease and desist. If not, here's our lawyers.
Yeah.
Here's when we can meet in court if you're not willing to do this. And they have this huge track record of doing this.
Many times, right?
Yeah.
Again, just actually a few days ago, they shut down the Smash tournament that people had, I guess they were doing it online this year on Melee, right?
It was a little bit longer than a few days ago. It was last month.
Oh, okay.
Whatever. Those of you not familiar with the Big House tournament is a Super Smash Bros. Melee tournament.
The best one.
Yes, the one from GameCube. And it's one of the biggest online,
in-person tournaments?
Yeah, it's one of the.
Yeah.
So I meant to say online because I'm so used to that. No, it's one of the biggest video game fighting tournaments in the world. So this year it was obviously canceled because of everything, and so they decided to try and play this online. And this is a 10-year-old game.
No, Melee?
20-year-old.
When did Melee come out?
2001.
2001. Wow. Okay, fair enough.
So,
almost 20-year-old game. Regardless, this is a game that was never designed with online play enabled.
Right.
However, the game was lightly modified to allow everyone to continue this tournament, right? Now, but Nintendo didn't like that.
It was lightly modified to be able to do online play originally, and then there was a new mod that was added to it, which is what Nintendo had the problem with.
Yeah.
So it was, I gotta make sure I get this right because it was such a weird name. It was the Slippy mod.
Oh, Slippy, of course.
Yeah,
naturally. This is something that, again, legally, Nintendo are allowed to shut down mods of their game. But this is a mod which technically was not licensed by Nintendo, and also, technically, Nintendo does have the rights to tell you to not stream or play their game.
And they've done that as well.
They have in Melee in the past.
Yes, I believe it was 2003. There was the EVO tournament, which was the biggest tournament in the world, and they originally said, no, you cannot use any footage from Melee for this. However, they did backtrack on that one.
But they've had, like, this stuff has been going on for many years. I mean, you can look at, like, these sort of fan mod of, like, original games. People have, like, remade games and they've shut it down. It's tough, right? So, like, if you look at it from I work at Nintendo legal department point of view, all of these things are illegal without Nintendo's permission.
Sure.
And Nintendo wants to sell you that new Pokemon game. They don't want you to be playing this old one. And by not vigorously defending their copyright and their trademarks, they are at risk of losing them. That being said, the way they've gone about all of these things, of throwing cease and desists everywhere, frankly, is disgusting to me. Think about it like this. If Nintendo would have still removed the Etikons, what if they had at the same time said, you know what, we're gonna go ahead and donate $100,000 to the foundation to help support, because this is a cause that they appreciate, that they want to kind of get out there. It'd be worth that just to get out of the PR nightmare of taking down the Etikons, which were beloved. Like, it's such a bad look. Like, how do they think about this?
Or they partner with them. Nintendo sell the Etikons.
Yeah.
And then they can still say, one, that would be just be better overall, because if Nintendo's officially backing it, one, they don't lose the trademark. Two, it would get way more exposure.
Absolutely.
But it just there's so many better ways to have handled it, but they go full on lawsuit.
Corporate mode.
Yeah.
Corporate mode. That's the thing, right? Like, Nintendo is a company who has built a rich history of amazing gaming experiences, right? They are attacking their hardcore fans, right? I mean, you think about Nintendo as a company. There are a lot of people who love Nintendo, right? I mean, look, is anyone watching this video saying like, Nintendo, they never made anything good? Of course not, right? Of course not. Many of the greatest games of all time have been made by Nintendo.
Yep.
But when you alienate your hardcore fan base, when you attack your hardcore fan base, you are doing a huge disservice, right? You think about a company like Valve, right? Valve has a great history of not only supporting mods, but actually promoting them, right? You look at Black Mesa, right? That is a game that, as far as I'm aware, Valve had basically nothing to do with, but not only did they, instead of doing the Nintendo way of shutting it down and closing the project, they promoted it. They sort of helped out. They like brought the whole thing out there and like pushed it along. Like,
it promotes, and then how many people bought it?
Yeah.
Just to be able to mod. How many people bought Skyrim just to be able to mod?
How easy is it? Just think about it, how much money it costs to develop a game, to market a game, all this kind of stuff. Guess what? The fan base did that work for you. There's already hype for these things. There's already all the work done. I mean, sure, if I'm Nintendo, am I gonna want to take a look and maybe make some changes to Pokemon Uranium? Yeah, okay, sure, maybe. But like, I think there's a huge difference between looking the other way on some of these projects versus actively shutting them down, right? I mean, there's so many scenarios in which they could have at least ignored them, if not actually fully supported, put their backing behind it, or just said, hey, you know what? Good job on this thing. We're not gonna take a look at it.
No, but they want to shut it down so that they can go and resell you the watch and play.
The Game & Watch.
The Game & Watch, whatever.
I watch and play a lot. I'm not out here trying to say that Nintendo should never shut projects down that are using their IP and stuff. Of course not, right? But actively attacking your hardcore fan base is crazy. I think an analogy, it's not quite the same thing, but something kind of similar in the gaming space, is think about Xbox. When the Xbox Series X came out, how many memes did you see of the Xbox is a fridge, the Xbox is a fridge, the Xbox is a fridge? Well, guess what? They got in on the joke and they made a Xbox Series X fridge, right? A little bit of a different scenario, but there's a difference between having sort of people laugh at you and sort of making fun of you and actually getting in on the joke. Like, how many cool points did Microsoft earn by doing that Xbox fridge project?
Like, what? I forgot there was like a tweet. It's just like, what has gaming taught you? And the Cyberpunk Twitter is just patience. Like, get in on the joke.
Yeah. Don't shut projects down and do it in such a spectacularly stupid way.
Like, again, even using Cyberpunk, they did put out the releaser that said, look, if you get the game early and you stream it on a day early, we will try and take you down. Like, because we're trying to avoid spoilers and whatnot. Yeah. Next day, do whatever you want. But I think that's the way to handle it. You know, the Joy-Cons is a little bit different because it's a modern IP. It is one that they are still like, but like when you look at like all the like a tournament based on a 20-year-old game,
which are literally filled with the most hyped fans that could possibly exist for Smash Brothers.
Yes,
that is crazy.
People still try and find GameCubes to play Melee.
Melee, I feel like single-handedly keeps CRTs in business, right? Like, I don't want to sit here and complain about Nintendo for another 30 minutes. Although, believe me when I say I actually kind of do. But what do you think about the way that Nintendo has handled this stuff? Because there are two sides to the story, but I think specifically the Etika thing gets to me in a way that a lot of these other things haven't, right? It just seems so backwards and stupid. Make sure to subscribe to This Is for other rantings and angry comments about companies that we also love and sometimes hate. Until next time, we will see you when we see you. I didn't have a good outro there. I just had to stick with that one, I think.
Bye.